Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News on Shri FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Edu. The news is also live on Kazmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Chief of Army Staff leads an advanced team to Bawku ahead of deployment of over 400 troops to beef up security following renewed violence, which has led to the death of 3 students. We'll bring you all you need to know about. There's also a trial of former National Signals Bureau boss Kwabena Dubuahene takes a new twist as Attorney General accuses him of dealing in stolen cars. And much later on the program, Minority Caucus criticizes government for failing to release funds to finance flagship project and social intervention programs announced in the 2025 budget. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, ahead of a large-scale deployment of military forces to Bawku and its environs, the Chief of Army Staff, Major General Lawrence Bawku Betanu, has arrived in the Upper East region. A total of 400 troops are expected to be deployed in line with the government effort to restore peace to Bawku following fresh unrest. Government over the weekend imposed a new curfew timeline on Bawku, Nanlerigu and surrounding communities effective from 2 p.m. to 6 a.m. daily. In a statement issued by the Ministry of the Interior, the government explained that the curfew forms part of broader efforts to restore peace in the affected areas following a surge in violent incidents. And we'll be crossing over to our Upper East regional correspondent very shortly to bring us the latest from there. But ahead of that, let's listen to the Major General Lawrence Bawku Betanu speaking to the media earlier before we bring you analysis on this.
Thank you very much. Over the period, we all noted that the situation developed in the Bawku general area and its outlining areas. And there's a need for us to sanitize the place. For this time around, we all know that the peacekeeping duties that we were performing over there have been reviewed to peace enforcement. And the curfew also reviewed starting at 1400 hours to the following morning 0600 hours. That gives the military the leverage to actually undertake some specific operations over there to sanitize the area. But before then, the Ghana Army, and for that matter, the Ghana Armed Forces, started some preparation for a training exercise that was supposed to be held in this area. So just before the weekend, actually, troops started moving to the exercise area, and then the mobilization started. And it was around this same weekend that the situation developed in the Bawku general area. So as a professional Ghana Army and then the Ghana Armed Forces, with troops mobilized for training exercise, we just reviewed that training exercise to get the troops redeployed for this real operation to deal with the situation that has emerged at the Bawku general area regarding the killings that we experienced over the weekend. This time around, we have marshaled enough of our forces from Southern Command, Central Command to join their colleagues in Northern Command, and we have enough formidable force to undertake whatever operations we have in Bawku and any other area that we assess will need some intervention. Thank you very much.
And you heard the Chief of Army Staff, Major General Lawrence Bawku Betanu, speaking to the media just upon arrival in Bawku in the Upper East region ahead of the deployment of some military men to that area. Let's speak to Mr. Richard Kumado. He's a security and fraud consultant. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
More boots on the ground, 400 men to be deployed. I'm just wondering what this tells you about the broad plan to deal with the Bawku conflict.
I think that the threat levels has been assessed, and the threat levels have hit the higher levels now. They had the opportunity of having the training, and I think they are using that opportunity to mobilize many more men. He used the word sanitize the environment. Sanitization in terms of military terms means that they would deal with any nuisance or anything that doesn't look normal to them. In cases such as this, the only worry is that when you happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time and you are innocent person, you might get some level of trouble with the military. But I believe they have the capacity to engage in an operation that sanitize the environment as the objective of one of the reasons being there.
Indeed, spot on with that. But this will not be the first time we are deploying troops to Bawku. What difference do you expect, or how differently do you expect this new deployment to perform? How do you want them to perform differently?
What I was expecting them to do, considering the number of troops they have the leverage and the strength to comb the whole Bawku and to mobilize themselves and engage in a strategic operation that ensures that the guns in Bawku enclave and the troublemakers in the Bawku enclave are flushed out as quickly as possible and make sure that there's sanity and there's peace for the people in Bawku.
We've heard analysts or other security experts talk about the need for us to handle this like we see with peacekeeping in war-torn areas.
It's expensive to do that. So we are afraid of doing it. And it's also the delicate nature of that. And that is why we are afraid of. People who are familiar with the North know that we have a military barracks, a full military barracks at Tamale. And the proximity from Tamale to Bawku wouldn't be so much of a problem for them moving troops over there. It's a decision and it's a discussion for another day at another time on another situation. But for now, mobilizing themselves over 400 men, I think they have the leverage, they have the capacity. We just have to play safe that it doesn't get into some level of atrocities or excesses. Other than that, whatever objectives take them there, they should be able to discharge to the better portion of this country, and so that Bawku will come back to normalcy.
How sustainable is this? Others have spoken about gathering intelligence, which they think, all right, okay, we'll have to get back to Mr. Kumado to conclude our conversation. You're still here on the Midday News on Sri FM and 92.7 as we try to reconnect to Mr. Richard Kumado. Let's bring you some more here. And the High Court has ordered the Ghana Police Service to deliver directly to Kwabena Edubuahin and other defendants all the information in their possession in respect of a PMW 740D with chassis number. Okay, so you find that on our website. Well, the prosecution brought up questions of the said vehicle to prove to the court that the former Signals Bureau chief had failed to declare his asset while in public office and that he was also involved in the importation and sale of stolen vehicles. Lawyer for Kwabena Edubuahini and two other defendants, Samuel Tachia, was on bended knees before the court for the court to compel the Attorney General to release the bill of lading and other documentation covering a stolen BMW vehicle allegedly imported into the country for sale by the former Signals Bureau boss. We also do understand that the lawyer said that information was crucial to the defense of the accused persons but had been withheld by the prosecution. Let's get more from Sisters Dongulo, who is our man in court now. Sisters, just tell us more about the demands of the lawyer for the accused and indeed the response of the Attorney General's office. We've lost Sisters on the line. We'll try and reconnect to him and bring you some more. Stay with us. And whilst we're trying to connect to these individuals now, former Finance Minister Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam has criticized the government for failing to release funds to finance its flagship project and social intervention programs announced in the 2025 budget. The Karaga MP and former Finance Minister is struggling to disperse funds due to a shortfall in some 28 Treasury auctions launched in the last 6 months, which he argues is a lack of commitment to delivering their promises to Ghanaians. Members of the majority disagreed with these assertions during a debate on the mid-year budget review on Monday. Listen to the former Finance Minister Dr. Amin Adam, as well as the Minister for Government Communications Felix Kwachiofosu and NPP MP for Fuasia Yibi Kojo Ponkroma speaking on the floor earlier.
If you recall, during the debate on the main 2025 budget, I expressed my disappointment at the inadequate provisions made to fund the government priority projects, what they call their flagship projects. And the mid-year budget presented by the minister has somehow confirmed my fear, because I've looked at all the releases made towards these priority projects, and I'm so sad that the minister has not shown enough commitment to fund these projects that they promised the people of Ghana. As I speak to you, the minister has not released a cent to the gold board for the operations of the gold board. Not a cent. All the funds the gold board has used so far has come from the Bank of Ghana. The Bank of Ghana has pre-financed the operations of the gold board, has pre-financed the purchases of gold. Because the minister is not releasing funds towards the implementation of this project, there is no money out there. I came from my constituency yesterday. The farmers have told me they have farm produce, but nobody is buying. Nobody is buying. There is no money. The minister launched 28 treasury auctions over the last 6 months. 13 of them were failures. Auction shortfalls. The money the minister would have released to implement this program, the minister has already used that money to pay the shortfalls.
When we took over power, the primary balance on commitment basis was at negative 3.9%, which was a deficit. When the finance minister came here, he said that this year, or by half year, we had projected to achieve a primary surplus of 0.4%. Mr. Speaker, the finance minister reported that we have in fact exceeded that and done a primary surplus of 1.1%. It simply means that we spent less than we earned.
The gold purchase program, which is one of the major contributors to where we are today, was launched on the 17th of June 2021. So I commend the government for continuing with the gold purchase program. The gold purchase program was being done by the Bank of Ghana and the PMMC. The Bank of Ghana is still here. The PMMC is what you've rebranded as Gold Board. Take your flagship programs. You said you are going to do a national apprenticeship program. So far, because of the fiscal failure, you have only been able to release 7% of the budget. Because of the fiscal failure, your 1 million coders program, you have released 0% of the budget. Because of the fiscal failure, the Agric for Economic Transformation agenda, you've released 0% of the budget. The Women's Development Bank, you've released 0% of the budget. The Big Push, you've released 0% of the budget, and you are still listing old road projects that have been commissioned. So I'm drawing your attention to the fact that because you misconceived the fiscal program, it is showing where you have to release money. And you cannot keep going on failing to release money.
And you heard that debate on the floor of Parliament earlier. Now work has resumed at the Forestry Commission offices in Inkarie, Bekwai and Akomadan after a dramatic shutdown by unidentified men claiming to be national security operatives. The offices were forcibly closed on Monday, causing widespread confusion and disruption to administrative duties. National Security has strongly denied any involvement, with the Ashanti Regional Coordinator describing the group as imposters. Authorities say investigation investigations are underway, but the individuals behind the unauthorized operation remain at large. The incident has raised serious questions about security and the growing trend of impersonation of state agencies. Let's speak to Ibrahim Abubakar, a man who's followed this story for us. Ibrahim joins us live on the phone. Ibrahim, what more do we need to know?
Well, like we rightly said, the offices have been opened and this morning, and the workers have arrived and they are working, but you can clearly see from most of the staff that their morale is down because they do not know when the next invasion, or I would say illegal invasion, would occur. So, but for now, the forestry managers of the various districts say they are taking stock because in Kawia, for instance, the manager says the tax broke into the finance office and take some documents and also broke into his office. But when he checked, there are no missing items in his office, but the finance people are trying to see, or the accountants are trying to see whether there have been sensitive documents that have been taken over from there. In other districts, the same thing. But then just some few minutes ago, we've also had the Ghana Institute of Foresters condemning that act. They said even before this incident, similar incident had happened at the Chepa and Coastal offices where we saw some tax forcefully entering the premises of the Forestry Commission office to take some seized illegal lumber. And for that matter, they are also expecting the security agencies to be up and doing and be able to fish out these perpetrators and arrest them. We do know that the national security have disassociated themselves from this, but the regional security liaison officer admitted to us that these are party boys who have been identified and they will make sure that they arrest them. But as we speak, no arrest has been made.
No arrest has been made, you say. And then earlier you mentioned that the morale of the individuals is down. Do you know whether any of them was injured in that forcible, as it were, that kind of exercise that forcibly shut down the offices yesterday?
Well, there were no injuries because there were no resistance. When they came, the staff had to voluntarily leave the offices for them to close them. So they came, but the manner in which they came was the issue. Most of them came fully armed, and for that matter, the staff had to leave them to do whatever they were doing. And also, it was after 4 p.m. that the police managed to pick the keys from these tags and came back to the various offices to open for work to continue.
And Ibrahim, before you go, do you know whether the workers will be given any psychological assistance and whether or not there's also an improved internal security for the office?
Well, for now, that is what the Forestry Commission is trying to do, get some people to give them that form of psychological assistance so that their morale will be high. And we've also been told that security will be beefed up. In fact, for Nkawe and other places, there are 1 or 2 police presence around, but the Forestry Commission is having a meeting today regarding this issue, and they said the meeting will decide their next line of action.
Thank you so much, Ibrahim Abubakar. He's Ashanti Regional Correspondent. We stay on the environment because the pro-environmental civil society group Eco-Conscious Citizens is rallying public support to petition the Inspector General of Police, Christian Teteyono, over what it describes as growing police intimidation and double standards in the fight against illegal mining. The group says it is deeply worried about the continuous harassment of community activists who risk their lives to protect local water bodies and forests. One such case is that of the Tronso 5 residents of Sefi Tronso in the Western North region who were arrested last November for allegedly burning excavators used for illegal mining near the Tronso stream. The suspect, including a teacher and an assemblyman, maintained their innocence. However, despite being locals with no flight risks, they were denied police bail and spent 5 nights in police custody before being rushed to court. Eco-Conscious Citizens citizens argue that while illegal miners continue to walk free, police are rather cracking down on those defending their communities. The group also cites similar cases in Asemkrom and Jurabanso, where local youths were arrested for exposing or confronting illegal miners only for offenders to go untouched. The petition is calling on the IGP to drop all charges against the Atronso 5 and initiate an urgent probe into the conduct of officers involved in these cases. Signatures are currently being gathered to support the petition before the next court date on the 31st of July. Awula Sewa is a national coordinator for eco-conscious citizens. She joins us live on the phone. Good afternoon to you, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for having me.
Why do you believe the police are targeting activists instead of the illegal miners themselves?
Well, I mean, everybody can have their own conclusions. But what we believe is that the efforts of the IGP are being undermined. He has shown commitment towards the fight against illegal mining. He has shown commitment. However, some police officers.
I'm sorry, ma'am, we're losing you. If you kindly reposition yourself so we're able to hear you. I'm sorry, we've lost Awula Sewa on the line. We'll have to call her back for us to continue the conversation. Some 20 minutes past the hour of 12. This is still the Midday News on Shri FM 92.7. Now, President John Mahama says the enduring legacies of slavery, colonial exploitation, systemic racism, and economic subjugation are still evident in modern-day Africa. Speaking at the African Union High-Level Dialogue on Democracy, Governance and Human Rights, President Mahama, who also serves as the AU champion on reparative justice, stressed that young people across the continent are growing increasingly impatient.
This dialogue could not have come at a more appropriate time. For far too long, the architecture of African states has rested on foundations imposed during a colonial era that neither understood nor respected our histories, our culture, or our aspirations. The enduring legacies of slavery, colonial exploitation, systemic racism, and economic subjugation are still visible today in the arbitrary borders that divide our peoples, in the financial hardships imposed by unjust global systems, and in the fragile governance systems, institutions that we're still struggling to strengthen. We gather here not only to examine this painful past, but also to shape a different and a better future for our continent, where African agency, sovereignty, and dignity are restored and respected. A future where state building is informed by our context, shaped by our people, and owned by our African communities. This dialogue cannot afford to become another ceremonial event filled with lofty speeches but void of action. Our citizens are watching and waiting. Our young people comprise the majority of our population and are growing increasingly impatient. They are not asking for charity, they demand fairness, they demand opportunity and a stake in our continent's future. Civil society is mobilized, our diaspora is engaged, and our institutions, though still evolving, are increasingly bold and ready to deliver. We must rise to the occasion, not with rhetoric, but with clear action. In that spirit, allow me to place before you two urgent recommendations. And the first is I wish to commend the African Union Executive Council for extending the theme of the year on reparations to a decade on reparations. And so from 2026 to 2036 has been declared as the decade of reparations by the African Union. I also wish to commend the Executive Council for approving the terms of reference for the African Union Commission of Experts on Reparations and the African Union Reference Group of Legal Experts on Reparations. These are critical milestones. However, we must now move swiftly to operationalize these instruments. We must empower these bodies with the resources, visibility, and mandate to lead us on this noble journey of truth, justice, and restitution.
And I heard President Mahama also speaking at the same event. The Foreign Affairs Minister, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, asked the African Union to take its responsibility to the African people seriously.
We aspire for this conference to go beyond conventional dialogue. May it provide a distinguished platform for the exchange of innovative ideas, facilitate open and sincere discussions, and cultivate a collective commitment to nurturing an African continent where rights are respected, voices are heard, justice is upheld, the democratic dividend is consciously harnessed, and opportunities are created for the many and not the few. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we must do this mindful of the global backdrop, where efforts to address such matters in international circles have often been hampered by a lack of political will, moral courage, and oftentimes outright resistance by our detractors to this conversation.
And I heard the Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. Let's return to our earlier story about environment NGO eco-conscious citizens petitioning the IGP on what it perceives to be how the police is handling the fight against illegal mining. Aula Sewa rejoins us on the phone. Aula, I know you were talking earlier and then the line just dropped. If you could conclude your thoughts. Hello?
Yes, hello. And also there are network issues. Yes, hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Please, if you could conclude your thought. I'm sorry, the line to Aula Sewa is not helping us. 26 minutes past 12. Stay with us.
Accra, Ghana, Africa, and worldwide. Join us on Inspirational Gospel Mix this and every Sunday.